Right, so I have returned once again today to actually resurrect a series that has been dormant since the end of summer, I think. She all good to go as well. So she have returned. She can resurrect Revolutionary Girl Utena, which is a series I have been long since been waiting to actually get back into, but since last season was really busy actually, considering, I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna have to kind of, hello, how's it going? I had to rethink a lot of things, and I thought to myself, okay, once things kind of subside slightly, I might bring it back. And then this season happened, and it also had the exact same problem as last season. Everything just kind of premiered on one day. Ohio gozaimasu, genki desu ka? Every single thing is premiered on one day, every single day of the week. And I was like, shit. Every single time. I was like, god damn it. So yeah, that's why the series has actually kind of been dormant for a long while. It's mainly because my schedule has been absolutely wild recently when it comes to anime. I'm glad. I'm very glad. So hopefully now, since I actually have, theoretically speaking, maybe sorted out a schedule, I say I've sorted out, I'm doing pretty good today. I'm quite tired, but I'm doing pretty good. I have no idea why. I kind of had a really, I'm one of those sleeps where you kind of sleep for a very long time and you wake up and you feel even worse afterwards. You're like, why did I sleep? That's basically how I feel today. So yeah, hopefully now, since I've actually kind of figured out what I'm actually officially covering this season, I probably will actually just sprinkle a lot of these series back into the actual mix, including the ones that also have won polls recently, which also is Bakemonogatari and also Hyouka as well. Got to try and figure out how to put those in here as well, so that's going to be an experience. But yeah, I think Mondays, maybe Tuesdays, maybe Wednesdays might just be kind of like these kind of shows, including also then like ReZero and Wonder Egg as well. But anyway, so yeah, we finished off the first core of Utena last stream back in August, I think, or September, one of the two. And yeah, it was good. The first core was actually brilliant, I must say. It's probably one of the best first cores I've seen in like a very long time. Even though the show came out when I was born, I think. But still, it's a really good core, so I do actually hope second core does in theory actually continue the actual legacy of the first core, which was really damn good. But anyway, let's put on Twitter actually gone live, before I forget to, because I always do. I always say the exact same thing, because I actually do sometimes forget. Alright, I need that bit, and I need that bit. Right, I do believe with that we should be good to go. Are we though? We certainly are. So yeah, anyway, let's get this show on the road. Let's start this thing in 3, 2, 1. Let's start this thing absolutely now. Oh shit, I forget the opening's always the first thing you see in a show as well. But yeah, I mean, the first core was really fucking good. Like, as a kind of singular piece of media that you can consume on its own, it was brilliant. Like, it was one of those ones that really does highlight the actual deconstruction complete of the shoujo genre itself, which actually is kind of cool because again, the 90s were pretty much like, hello, pretty much like the golden era of shoujo. I guess also the 2000s were as well, but I think the 90s as well was like the golden era. So you always had like a lot of shows coming out in this shoujo genre, and to a point, something that I always say is the exact same thing happens in film. It becomes saturated to the point that you kind of like, well, I've seen this all before, what's the point watching it? And I kind of like how Utena kind of takes on that mantle of being like a shoujo show that kind of looks at the idea of what it's like to actually exist within a world of shoujo, essentially, and also a character who actually completely like disregards every single shoujo trope known to exist. And I kind of feel it's actually quite fascinating in a way. So if you actually kind of just look at it from that perspective, the first core is probably one of the best first cores in a very long time, actually. It's up there with probably like a lot of other shows as well. If I remember correctly, 13 is a recap pseudo thing, if I remember. Which actually is quite nice because it's been quite a while. Still kind of hoping that maybe this actually might be a bit more frequent. The same with like Fate and Higarashi's original anime plus visual novel as well. Also, do really appreciate the actual episode where Anthony just kind of goes off with someone else, and the entire thing is literally that she's actually just telling her to say those things. I thought that's actually kind of a cool twist. Essentially, everything was basically a lie the entire time, though only half a lie. I thought it actually was quite a brilliant, just twist. I thought that's kind of a really, really good way to actually kind of highlight that everything might just be manufactured. What do they wonder though? What do they be wondering? Is it? Do we be seeing Nicholas? He's just kind of sitting there like just spouting some random like psychological words, and she's kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? I still do actually wonder whether or not the gravity on that place is actually flipped as well. Like, you just kind of go up, they kind of just twist as soon as you get up there. The problem is, the problem is, like, he was so determined on Nicholas. He was like, I've done this. I've won this fucking battle. And she's like, no, bro. It was pretty amazing. He was so determined. Oh, it's a slimy boy. It's the slimy boy. It's seaweed boy. Ew. He's made of seaweed. I love the actual soundtrack going on behind the fight. Everyone's kind of like, what, bruh. It's just how about his normal fights. It's like carnage, death, and everything in the background. It's like shit. It's amazing. I love it. I do actually appreciate it's also called this sort of Dios as well. I wonder if the actual lyrics of the song that plays in the background as they're fighting actually pretty much explains the entire plot. I do actually wonder that, to be honest. Besides the old, like, anarchy, death, anarchy lyrics. It sort of, like, explains the entire plot of the show. He's so slimy. He's so slimy. But that wasn't that wasn't the last time we actually saw him. He did in theory have that one moment at the end, towards the end of the core as well, if I remember. That burn at the end as well. That burn. I just love that burn at the end, the whole entire thing. He's like the entire time at the end of that whole entire fight. Oh, that stings when you actually remember the episode where she actually goes off, when she actually loses and actually goes off with someone else. Oh, that stings. It gets to a point in the show where she's kind of like, when someone's like, I challenge you to a duel, and she's like, no, bro, I don't feel it today. And the entire show just ends at that point. I want my staircase in my house to actually have that music behind it as well, to be honest. Let's get to the point where you actually kind of have too many doors, just kind of like, fuck this staircase again. Staring at that actual place just gives me anxiety as well. Just that entire like structure above them just gives me anxiety staring at it. Do you actually know how close it is to you? Like, is it like very far away or just like right there? It is terrifying. Slimy boy. It's a slimy boy. He's so slimy. Seaweed. Seaweed boy. Slimy seaweed boy. Yeah, he has like a slight redemption arc, like during the middle of the whole entire core, and then kind of loses it all at the end. I was like, bruh, I had faith in you. Which is a running theme with anime characters with me, having faith in them, they'd betray me at the end. Bruh. So Dios just kind of like, nah, bro, you ain't win this battle. He just descends from the sky like, yeah, get out. God, my eyes. Woo. She didn't just kind of cut his flower. She also cut his sword in half as well. That's just kind of like, bro, I give up at that point. At that point, just kind of leave. Just kind of like, what do I do now? We got half a sword. What do I do? I wonder if he actually sits all the time and then someone just gives him exposition all the time as well. I sort of wonder if he's just sitting there on top of the egg, just kind of like, ah, oh, not again. More exposition. I do wonder. I do wonder. I also remember that whole entire like sub story of Nanami as well, which was kind of like, what the fuck? Like half the time as well. If I remember correctly, she was getting jealous that Toga was going with other people. Also, something to do with a cat as well, if I remember correctly. And I was kind of like, what the hell, bruh? Essentially, the entire time. It sure does go places. Sir, I think your titty's hanging out. I do believe your titty's hanging out. When Toga just sits there, just with his shirt off, and it's like, oh no, sorry, the wind got it. It's like, sir, this is inside a house. There is no wind in this room. Man. Imagine if, like, in real life, shirts just worked in the same way that it worked in this show. We just randomly fly off. Like the power of sheer gravity and wind. They come out of nowhere. Mickey's kind of like, I won't lose! Proceeds to lose. Poor Mickey. He tried. Or more. He has no nips. The man lost. We remember he sold his nips for the good sword skills. It's a trade-off that didn't work in the end because he lost, but he lost his nips still as well. So it's a lose-lose scenario. He was like, oh, I'll sell my nipples, get the good sword skills, and win. Boom, he didn't win. Well, he won one. Proceeded to lose the rest of them. And now he has no nipples. I mean, for a recap episode, it actually basically is just like, by the way, these are all the fights once again. It's kind of an interesting recap episode. do you believe the cameraman got drunk just then? I do feel sorry for Toga though. Lost his nipples. Every single time his shirt flies up, everyone's like, Toga, where's your nipples? That's the reaction he gets every single time. He doesn't care. The shirt still comes off anyway. Uh-oh, the old palm windowsill trick. She fell for it. Every single time. Oh yes, this episode. Now this one was an episode and a half, wasn't it? God, this whole entire plot thread. This entire plot thread just to resolve that she actually had a massive brother complex. I think it's been 3 months, if I remember correctly. I think it's been 6. I remember I covered it just towards the end of August or September, which is about 3 months ago? 4 months ago, maybe? I don't know. I can't do dates. Every single date's basically a blur to me at this point. I look at something like, wow, I have not covered that in 1 year. How the hell did a year already pass? So, that's just the way my brain works. Utena is kind of like Nanami. I do believe you have a massive brother complex. That poor cat. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I sent you my love. There we go. The camera's too far down now. It doesn't really work. Thank you so much. There it is. There it is. There's. Hello, but how are you doing today as well? I do wonder how you are doing, but thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Man just there vibing. Man is just there vibing. Oh, interesting. How does one get in that position? surely I would have fallen backwards by now and fallen on the floor. Oh shit! Wrong cue. I'm really good with the whole like timings recently. Ooh, ominous indeed. Ominous indeed. I just do wonder how can you actually buy stuff in America? I mean, the actual on Blu-ray. Because every single time I actually went to look for the actual Blu-rays themselves, the ones over here are ridiculously expensive. They're £40 per part. I think there's 3 of them, if I remember correctly, which is £120, the whole entirety of Utena. So I actually do wonder how expensive they are still in America. I do actually want to buy them one day. I got a Funimation stream, but I actually like owning them as well. I got into the point of actually liking to own anime, as well as actually have them on Crunchyroll and Funimation, and also High Dive and Netflix and Amazon Prime. But yeah, I do actually wonder, because I actually do want to buy them one day. But anyway, yeah, that was quite the recap. A very ominous recap, to be honest. Let's be real. It's a very ominous recap. It's like, yeah, by the way, I wonder how she's gonna fare in the fights to come. It's like, bruh, what's gonna happen now? What's happening in the fights to come? Are we to be worried? Are we to wonder? Oh, wonder. I do wonder. Oh, wonder. What's gonna happen? Let's see, I guess. Let's see. La Bande. Ooh. Interesting. Interesting. Right, let's load up episode 14. Have they dropped in price, I wonder, since their inception over here? I thought they were going to drop at Christmas, the Blu-rays, but they didn't drop in price. I was kind of disappointed. I was ready to buy them at Christmas, and I ended up buying everything else instead. I ended up buying like 10 series of Gundam for like the same price as one season of Utena was. I was like, wow, that was impressive. I'll take a just very quick look. Utena Blu-ray. It is $39, $39, and $40. Still the exact same price as they were since the day they've released. One day they'll drop to the price I want to pay. Right, let's put on to we're actually watching episode 14 now. It's just me. Has Twitter gotten rid of Twitter gotten rid of what's it called? No, eBay is even more expensive. I think they're about £50 on eBay each. I was like, Jesus, because for some reason anime has a really weird pricing thing over here. I mean, I got the whole entirety of JoJo, like seasons part 1 to 3 for I think £60. It cost me in its entirety, which is actually really good because it's actually 24, 48, 80 episodes I think in total, which is actually a really good price. And I managed to get I think 250 episodes worth of Gundam for I think my brother bought for me for Christmas for £100 on Blu-ray as well. So I actually have the entirety of Gundam for like the same price as Utena was. I was thinking they might have dropped it during Christmas because that's actually when they normally drop it, but alas, they didn't drop it in the end. I still do really want to own it one day. I think my biting price is probably about 30 for each part, which is like slightly less than what they are currently, but about 30 to £25 I think. That's my biting price. They were really cheap in America at one point, but the problem was import was way too high at that point, so I couldn't buy them, which was really disappointing. I actually was going to buy them, but they were too high. I think all seasons when it cost me $40, I think it was at that point, but then the import tax was, I think, it rose it to $100, which was expensive. It's like, god damn it. I almost had them at that point. I almost had like, oh, I can buy them. Nope. Damn import tax. Gets me every single time. But alas, maybe one day. I'm actually hoping maybe during summer at some stage it might drop it, because they'd sometimes randomly drop anime all the time now. It's quite nice because I've actually managed to pick up a lot of anime recently, like a lot of it. But anyway, Let's actually begin episode 14 in 3, 2, 1. Let's actually begin episode 14 now. I kind of like having them because I like having them mainly because Blu-rays you can upscale them. So if say like Funimation stream isn't the best, which sometimes actually is the case, you actually can have the Blu-rays and upscale them to actually the correct resolution, so they look impeccably nice. That's the reason I like owning Blu-rays as well, because it just it's chef kiss beautiful. But it's convenient having one streaming as well, to be honest. And this actually wasn't available for like at least 10 years, old Utena, until like last year when they actually released it, which actually was quite nice because it was not available beforehand. I could not watch it at all for some reason until Funimation acquired a license to it. But yeah, I think I explained it beforehand how Utena was basically in limbo over here for like 10 years. There was, I think, a DVD release at one point, but that's gone out of print completely. So you actually can't acquire that DVD anymore. So the only way you could have watched it beforehand was if, say, it randomly appeared, or if someone acquired a license, which was the case in the end, because Funimation got a license to the actual streaming rights, while I think Anime Limited got the release rights for home video, which is what we have over here. No idea which ones they're based off though, because I know sometimes certain ones are based off the American versions, or others are based off the Japanese versions. It's really confusing. It's a really weird, confusing system that we have over here. No, licensing over here is terrible, like for the most part. A lot of shows that you have in America or anywhere else we might not have over here because no one has a license to it, essentially. Like Higurashi, for example. Higurashi can't be streamed, but it's been released on home video. And Utena was released at one point on video, but that was about it. After that point, up in the air. Ooh, new characters. New characters. Same thing I think happened with my teen romantic comedy Snafu as well. I think exact same thing happened. That's why I always say that Funimation, that licensing is a very kind of hit and miss thing over here. That's why I normally always buy stuff, because it's one of those things that at any given point it can actually just disappear. Same thing with this as well. And there goes the cake, and also Choo Choo as well. The cake was not saved. The cake was not saved. "40 episodes in, we actually learned that Anthony has a brother." It's like, whoa, hello. Interesting, interesting. That whole entire room is so huge, Jesus Christ! How big is that room? Just having a moment. This is just there having a moment, just kissing. Damn, they planned ahead. They're planning ahead. It's like, so you have a slight fondness for stargazing. So I believe that's actually more than just a fondness. That thing is huge. You could quite comfortably live on top of that thing. It's that goddamn huge. It is massive, bro. Well. Those quick cuts are amazing. Those quick cuts were amazing. Well. What about the other present, though? What about the other present? I want to know what's inside. I still want to know what do you see? Do you see the Earth's core in that goddamn telescope? Do you actually see the sun? Ooh, the shot composition in that scene was beautiful. Chef kiss, beautiful. Man. Oh. Just, you know, 100 people buried alive, I guess. What a cow is amazing. Well, I mean, you can try. That's the main thing. Actually, you can try. Whether or not you'll be able to do it, that's a different question. Every single scene in this show is like a Renaissance painting as well. It's quite nice. It's quite nice. I do like it. I wonder where the interview room is. I wonder where the interview room is. Oh. 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 What's this, Inception? Damn, Anthony. It's a scary lift. Is this what we like to call an uh-oh moment? Do this be an uh-oh moment? Oh shit, I guess. Oh. Well, that explains it. Well. That's not good. That's not good. It is really a trauma elevator, isn't it? That was a well shit moment. That was a well shit mixed with an oh damn mixed with oh no as well. Well, that wasn't nice. She was just trying to like just let her emotions out and just explain what's going on, and then it just kind of spiraled out of control. And now we ascend the stairs once again. Imagine just kind of just being like, yeah, I need to explain some things about what's going on, and then just in the end, you just get stabbed by a flower and actually have to go into a duel. Imagine. God, this show is so fucking good. God damn it, Ikuhara. Making that good shit. Making that good shit. God damn it, I still do wonder whether or not it's just going up these stairs must be like just strenuous at this point. It's kind of get up there and be like, God fucking damn it. She's technically not really fighting her, is she, really? If it is kind of, she's actually fighting, she's not really kind of like, she's not going against her, she's more going against Anthe. That's where the emotion lies. So it's quite interesting that it actually might in theory be a duel. Still does give me anxiety, that whole entire place. Oh. It's quite symbolic. It's true. At this point, why go to school? It's so like you're there. You got to fight people. You got to go into duels. You got this whole entire thing that this entire place is built on a place where a load of people died as well. God damn. There's some serious shit going on here. It's quite interesting though, the entire thing with Kane, to be honest. It sort of doesn't. It doesn't really kind of feel like a normal duel, so to speak, anymore. Because again, it wasn't as if she wanted to actually do it. It's just the actual Rose, I guess, chose her in that way, or they chose her. And now she actually has to bury her other self and actually become this self that she isn't. That isn't her. Again, the emotion really lies with Anthe, to be honest, as well. Well, that was fast. That was very fast, actually. Again, it was one of those ones that had a very different emotion to it, other than just, oh yeah, by the way, it's a duel. Because it really didn't feel like one. Oh shit! And it just get kind of it just kind of get thrown into flames at the end of it all as well. That's kind of fucked up. I'm not gonna lie there, bro. Gotta get that shit sorted out. That's fucked up. That, bruh, those aren't good vibes at all. I guess manipulation is kind of a very telling theme of this whole entire show when it comes to the actual duels themselves, because they don't really feel like duels, so to speak. A lot of them hinge on like a mass amount of emotion behind it. Others also hinge on the idea that, again, the whole entire thing with Rose Bride itself as well. It's one of those things that there's no freedom involved as well. It's like they're kind of trapped. So again, it doesn't. There's no sense that by the end of it they actually kind of won anything. They just kind of got out of it essentially. So practically speaking, it's like the manipulation itself does in theory actually kind of run through the entire anime, not just in that one fight. It's more than anything. There's no sense like you kind of get like, oh shit, they've won essentially. You kind of like, oh shit, at least they actually kind of got out of that one. Everyone do be hanging out with a titty hanging out in this show as well when you think about it. Not just Toga. Oh. Essentially, everything actually is a metaphor for this show. Like, the entire thing that the place that Anthe actually kind of finds solace as well is basically a, to call it, a birdcage. And if you actually kind of look at birdcage in the connotation that someone is trapped, essentially it's basically what it means as well. She actually has no sense of freedom anywhere. So, practically speaking, everything kind of is a metaphor. You are right there. It's quite interesting, actually. But yeah, everyone. Well, that was an ending. I was like, wait a minute. Hold up a second. What's happening here? Don't want to know what's happening here, but what's happening here? Just man's posing with his with titty hanging out. I'm like, bruh, you'll catch a cold. Put that titty away. But alas, that was not the ending I was expecting. But yeah, it's really interesting actually, because again, it's one of those things that there's no sense of winning in this show. Like, in essence, you don't feel like, oh yeah, by the way, they defeated Kane. It's kind of one of those things that, again, the whole entire thing could have just not ever happened. But a lot of emotions do in theory kind of happen, and then the whole entire thing happened in the elevator, and then boom, there she is. I guess we actually can watch one more episode as well. I guess previous core was mostly about the idea of actually kind of like, I guess, winning their own sense of justice, even though I guess to an extent most of their justices were kind of very warped, so, or fighting for their own causes they believe to actually be just. While this core was more about like manipulation and shit like that as well. It's quite interesting how different the cores actually are in comparison to each other. It's not, it doesn't really, they don't really follow the exact same kind of structure. Now it's kind of like, by the way, yeah, these people manipulating people's hearts to actually then fight Utena and actually possibly then win against her. This is my first complete watch through of it. It's been a little while since I actually watched it. I think I watched it. It's been a little while since I actually covered this show. I covered it in like August before this point. So I thought I'd come back to it now, but I do actually really like it. It's a really good show. It does feel like Ikuhara's actually kind of going absolutely ham on the direction. It's really nice. I do actually really like the direction in this arc. It's quite nice. I'm like, Chef Kiss beautiful. It's pretty amazing. Put on Twitter once again. I'm actually streaming episode 15. Right, let's get this show on the road. Let's start this thing in 3, 2, 1. Start this thing absolutely now. But yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting though, because again, they don't really they're not the same essentially. Each core is very different because core 1's mostly about people's ideals essentially and what they fight for, and the freedom they so long wanted as well. While some achieve it, others kind of falter as well. This core is mostly about the idea of like manipulation and corruption as well. It's quite a different feeling because again, it's one of those things that, don't get me wrong, manipulation's always been a very up there kind of theme in this show. It's always been omnipresent within the anime, but I feel like this core is kind of looking at it from a very different perspective, more than just, by the way, manipulation essentially. There's clearly more going on here. I quite like it. Don't quite like what's going on, but I like the idea of actually how they're exploring it. Because even the whole thing with Anthe and Utena as well in the previous call, when Utena was basically Utena kind of lost Anthe, and that whole entire arc kind of explained that everything she was saying because she was saying it. Essentially, like in essence, she was saying say this, say that, say this, say that. It wasn't her saying it. So it was the idea of freedom that was taken away as well, and the idea that freedom doesn't really exist within this world. People do fight for it, but it's one of those things that doesn't really exist, so to speak, especially in the idea of duels. So the same thing, I guess, in the idea like of manipulation is going to kind of become like a running theme in this episode and subsequent episodes as well. He really is. Ikuni actually is amazing. What do they be saying though? What do they be saying though? Interesting. Hasn't got his titty hanging out. His shirt is buttoned up. It is quite a miracle. Man is so destroyed, he actually won't have his titty hanging out anymore. This whole entire art's got a very ominous feel to it as well so far. When I think about it, it's very ominous. A lot of shots don't really hang on very long. They're kind of very fast paced now, which actually is quite interesting. I don't have to explain it, but a lot of the shots don't really like last too long. It's a lot of quick cutting going on in this show now. Choo-Choo also lost a massive cake last episode as well. Ooh. Interesting. Double interesting. Ooh. I don't know, it just kind of, it does it like beforehand, even though it had a lot of ominous things going on in the show. The show actually always kind of had a very like colorful color palette. It always kind of felt like it was one of those things that the show was bright and colorful. Like it kind of felt, it felt like you're at ease most of the time. Besides in certain episodes where it kind of had a more heavy kind of tone. This arc thus far, it's kind of very it's very different. It's very colorless and very like depressing as well. It's kind of like a lot of the shots kind of weigh on you as well. It's kind of very interesting how it's done. Nothing has really changed about the show itself. It's just kind of like the way they've structured a lot of the shots, the way they've structured a lot of the actual characters in said shots, just kind of have that feeling. Kind of like it. This is going to end badly, I can imagine. It's the elevator. It's the elevator. It's a philosophy elevator. So I'm guessing one of the things kind of I'm guessing it's one of those things that this art's kind of prime on the idea of like it's like the supernatural kind of thing. Like you see in certain horror films how spirits kind of prey on the weak or the ones who actually have a lot of emotional baggage as well, and or stuff that actually is happening in their lives, and that's actually what the supernatural entity kind of clings on to. So I imagine it's one of the exact same things that happen with this idea of the Black Rose as well. The idea that the Black Rose kind of is one of those things that maybe in order they kind of say the words correctly, Jesus Christ Almighty. It entices them with the idea of actually being able to actually save or fix something, but in the end it might actually kind of end badly. Thus kind of going back to the whole supernatural kind of angle. Does sort of feel like that in a way, because the way that Mickey's sister actually looked at Anthe, and then it panned back to the rose itself, it kind of felt that was the case. Same thing with the previous episode with Kanae as well. That's just my interpretation thus far. See? That's what it kind of feels like. Quite interesting, actually, to be honest. It's the idea of going deeper and deeper. It's like Inception kind of like structure. It kind of feels like it's the idea what it's trying to go for. That it's enticing with the idea of being able to actually fix something, and the actual rose kind of prize on that idea. So in a way, it kind of takes on a more, like, I guess, horror angle in a way, because again, the idea, like, in other shows and other mediums as well, how in other mediums, stuff like supernatural things happen because the person has a lot of emotional baggage on them. So the same thing kind of applies here. It's more of a supernatural kind of entity in that kind of way. Thus forcing them into a duel as well. You know, clearly that's actually not the way to do it. The way of a duel isn't the best way of doing things. Very interesting. Yeah, essentially, it's very it's a horror mixed with a lot of metaphors and symbolism. So I can't like about the show as well. It's not really just one genre. They could actually, to be honest. There's a lot going on in this show. You can actually write a lot about. It's not just one thing. Core 1's basically full of it. You can write an entire thesis just on Core 1. I swear the idea of the rose itself has a connotation within like life itself as well. I can't remember what it is, but I swear it exists in life. Because even the duels themselves don't have build up anymore. They sort of just happen at this point. It's always that whole entire like build up and that like, oh shit, the duel's gonna happen. Here it's just kind of happening now. You kind of like shit. It doesn't have the exact same kind of feeling anymore. It's an empty kind of feeling you get from these kind of fights now, but not the empty sense that it's got no writing behind it. It's done on purpose, but it just kind of has this completely different connotation now. So I actually quite like it. I like what they're doing with this core. It's a lot more in a way supernatural than say Core 1 was. Though Core 1 was quite supernatural in its own way. But again, a lot of Japanese horror films tend to actually kind of like draw upon the idea of like the emotion behind the person as well. Karma is actually a very famous example. Well, actually no, one of the most famous examples of it I think's is Dark Water. If I remember correctly, I think it's Dark Water. And I think maybe Pulse as well to an extent, if I remember. If you also want to get technical about it, also Ring is also a very symbolic movie as well. Nowadays it is. Back then it was more of a horror film, but nowadays it's more of a symbolic movie. But yeah, I kind of find it to be a really interesting way to kind of deviate from the usual kind of mood. Because beforehand there was no sense of freedom within the bride itself. The bride is basically trapped inside this whole entire duel. Essentially, there's no sense that she has any freedom. Even less now with the whole entire idea of what they're doing with the Black Rose. There's even less kind of freedom involved. It's kind of very much like it's something that chooses you against better judgment, and then it kind of then has that moment with Mickey as well. It kind of proves that there and then there's no freedom involved. Nachos. Well, nachos aren't really, but Doritos, I guess. Maybe my comfort food recently. I'm sorry, is Anthony just drinking milkshake while everyone else is just fighting? That starts to break my back if I did that. Oh man, I actually had Core Ranch before. I really do want to have it one day. I think they actually sell it over here, if I remember correctly. To my knowledge, I can't speak. To my knowledge, I don't think they do. There we go. Another one gets yeeted into the fire. kind of messed up. Man's been in the same place for 24 hours. I bet you. He's just been he's just been sitting there just in the exact same pose. Also, uh-oh. Well, there you go. That was quite the episode, actually. Very heavy on the emotion, actually. Oh, my arms. My bones are so bad lately. God damn it. Oh, Jesus. I need to go see a chiropractor or something. You guys see the Bone Man. That's why I need to go and see the Bone Man. To sort my bones out. Because, God, it's just... Ah! That's better. All my bones just click all the time now. But anyway, yeah, enough talk of my inability to actually have good bones. It was good. I really like what this core's doing. It's very, it's dark, very depressing core, in comparison to the previous one, which actually was in its own way very dark and depressing. So it's one of those things that it's interesting what they're doing with a lot of the plot now, because the plot's kind of taken on a more, I guess to an extent, emotional, like, well, even more emotional kind of stance than beforehand, because it's more... Because before, don't get me wrong, the actual fights themselves were emotionally driven. They weren't like, oh yeah, by the way, Utena, you want to fucking fight? That kind of thing. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like a school fight, essentially. It was more like, bruh, the shit's on the line here. I'm fighting for this. So I kind of like that it's even more emotional than beforehand. But the emotion itself, it kind of feels like it's one of those things that it's a lot more. It's not more personal to the person as well. You know, beforehand, still, it's very personal, but even more so, it's like a familial kind of personal feeling that exists and resides in that one person. And the idea that the actual Black Rose kind of prize on that whole entire idea and actually kind of then offers the idea to actually possibly win and actually then take the actual Rose Bride for themselves, it's kind of messed up when you think about it. It's one of those things that it kind of takes on a different feeling entirely, because it's not really like, oh yeah, they're fighting for a cause. Now, more or less, it's kind of forced into the entire thing, under pretense they actually have the ability to actually kind of possibly win the fight by some fluke. Yeah, it's one of those things that I guess take her for themselves, but in the end kill her as well. But that's beside the point, I guess. It's just kind of messed up above all else, because it's one of those things that even though it's like, oh yeah, they're going there for their own on their own volition. It's one of those things that the actual Black Rose itself just doesn't feel like it's chosen the person out of the sheer will of skill. Oh yeah, good point. Just realised that it actually is a second character of a sister/brother complex as well. So yeah, not just Nanami in this show. So yeah, it's really interesting in that way, how it kind of doesn't necessarily feel like anything else. It's one of those things that it kind of, as I said beforehand, it kind of prides on the idea like it's like the emotional baggage the person has. It's like it's that thing is welling up within you, and then it kind of bursts out essentially, and it bursts out on the idea that she can then fight, but then the fight itself is almost over in an instant. And even more so, it's actually quite interesting. I need to have a breather in between this whole entire arc, because goddamn, it is quite depressing. I need an anime episode. because her episodes Doom and Fury always bring me joy. But yeah, it's interesting. I do actually quite enjoy what they're doing with this arc, because it kind of it feels more in line with a horror movie than, say, your average Utena kind of fight. And the fights themselves, even though beforehand they were evidently pointless, it was one of those things that, in points in the sense they should never have happened to begin with, but even more so now. It's just kind of like, you kind of sit there going, these fights just, I guess, because they're over an instant, it kind of highlights how pointless they truly are. How, in essence, and they don't really have that emotion that was beforehand present within the fights. Even more so is the idea that Yuten's also relying on the actual power of the Dios as well quite a bit now. I've seen her use it, because I know she uses it beforehand, but even more so in these two fights I've seen in these episodes. She uses it quite a bit, so I do actually wonder what's going to happen with that. If anything ever does happen with that. I do actually kind of find it to be quite interesting. So yeah, I mean, as I always say, I'll try to figure out how to actually include Utena back into the whole entire schedule once again. I'll try and figure out what days kind of seem more free than others, and I'll actually slot them in, do not worry. And also the same thing with oh god, what's the other show I covered beforehand? There's so much show beforehand as well. I'm trying to remember. There was one I was like, oh yeah, I'll sort that one in. I guess Higurashi as well, and also then the winners of the polls as well. I got to figure out the whole entire schedule for this season, plus then I guess also next as well. But yeah, I actually have enjoyed the whole entire stream. Do apologize, actually being a bit spontaneous with this whole entire stream. I thought today was a good day to actually bring back this show, actually see some more of it. So yeah, do actually be on the lookout for this a bit more often than usual. I just got to figure out how to actually slot them all in. So until next time, with some more Revolutionary Girl Utena. As always, Goshicho arigatou gozaimasu. Boku no dogo wo moshiroi to omotara ine ya channel toruku wo onegai shimasu. Yeah, essentially, it is enticing with emotional manipulation, which is actually kind of it's really messed up actually when you think about it. Kind of takes on a more like antagonistic feel that wasn't really so much present beforehand. Don't get me wrong, the overall antagonist actually was kind of like the actual duels themselves, but now it's like now it's even more so. It's kind of like, by the way, it's very antagonistic. It's like there's actually a centralized antagonist in this arc more than just Toga, who I don't really kind of see as an actual antagonist. It's my pleasure. Actually glad you all stopped by as well. Thank you for stopping by. But as always, actually have enjoyed the stream and Doom Fury, leave a like because indeed it's been quite a bit. If you have then enjoyed the whole entire stream and Doom Fury, leave a sub because indeed it's been quite a bit as well. If you have then enjoyed this whole entire stream and Doom Fury, follow me on Twitter or join Discord as well, because both help me quite a lot, and both will then tell you when your streams go live and any other streams I do as well. But until next time, some more Revolutionary Girl Utena. See you guys then. Bye for now.